universities don't give you enough time off. You have to apply for that application. Curriculum vitae and resume is important when you turn in for a job application. Settings that you were putting in the effort, that you were putting in the work. That's what doctors want to see when you apply for residency applications. They want to be able to publish, and you'll have your name published in that paper to get. Assalamu alaikum and hey there, my name is Dr. Hamza Farooq. I'm an international medical graduate currently residing in the United States, and I welcome you all to another segment of Excemy Residency series. Today's topic, we're going to be talking about electives and their importance. Two things you need to worry about. There are two types of electives. There's research electives and there's clinical electives. What is a research elective? Basically, you'll be applying through like a group of colleagues where you'll be taking through the proper procedure on how to make a proper research formatted thesis paper. On top of that, you will be able to publish, and you'll have your name published in that paper to get you credit. The other thing is clinical elective. Clinical elective is more like shadowing under a chief resident. A doctor will have you go around, you will be exposed to the clinical settings, you will be properly exposed to the patient. Now, most common questions are like, how many clinical electives can I take? Where are these clinical electives taken? Well, let me tell you this. The amount of clinical electives you can take is that I would recommend that you would take at least, as many as you can, because these are all experiences that apply towards your residency application. If you're taking research electives, try to take 2 or more electives as possible. If you're taking clinical electives, try to take 2 or more of those as possible. How many weeks should I do for electives? Well, let's say for clinical electives, normally they are granted 4 weeks of clinical electives, but you can choose to give 8 weeks or more further. And research electives, you will be also given 4 weeks, but you can extend that time period to up till 2 months. When should I start clinical electives? Well, for clinical electives, I would recommend that you start in your first, after 2 years of medical school, maybe after your 3rd year of medical school, when you have started, clinical wards, when you've started your medical school hospitalized clinical wards. So that when you reach the university hospital, you are able to, you know some things, you're not just going there and then the doctor asks you a couple of questions and then you're like, oh no, I don't know what to do. For research elective, what I would recommend is that you start, I wish someone would have told me that I'd take it during my 1st year of medical school so that I wouldn't be having to rush it towards my final year. You are able to take your research elective from 1st year to final year. However, if you decide to take maybe clinical electives or research elective after you graduate, then that's not called an elective, that's more called an observership, and that gets counted into something else. So try taking these in the proper time while you're in medical school. The next question most people have is, what order should I take these electives? Well, it doesn't matter what order you should take it up, but try to focus on, okay, let's say I want to get into internal medicine, I want to get into family medicine, then you should take clinical electives first. You want to get as many clinical electives as possible, but research are important, don't leave that out. However, if you want to get into, let's say, a pathology department, maybe radiology and all, then try taking research electives first. Take as many research electives as possible, then your clinical electives. It is based on the speciality of when you apply for your residency match, of which field or speciality that you want to get into. Let me talk to you about the importance of clinical electives. I've broken it down to you in 3 simple rules. The first thing you should know is clinical experience. Whether you're taking clinical electives or research electives, both of them come into your clinical experience, but you can base that off, like I said, in which order, speciality wise. Like if you want to get into that special field, then do clinical electives. If you want to get into pathology, radiology, again, get into more of those research electives. Everything counts as a clinical experience. For when they read your residency application, they will know what to look for. The second thing I want to talk to you about is LORs. Letter of recommendations is important, whether you get it from your medical school or whether you get it from your clinical electives or research electives. Some doctors may not give it to you right away. You might have to ask for it. And some doctors are nice enough to give you that. LORs are important because you want to be able to, when they read your applications, if my step score is the same as another person's step score, then I want to have some bonus points that will give me ahead of the competition. So these come a long way. LORs will tell the doctor that in his own writing that, you were probably great at communications, that you were great at group work settings, that you were putting in the effort, that you were putting in the work. That's what doctors want to see when you apply for residency applications. They want to know the why should they hire you. First of all, you are getting paid and you are also learning and getting trained to be in your field. The other thing that I've been talking about is residency applications. These things come into your residency applications or your curriculum vitae. You want to, there's a reason why I'm repeating this, because residency, when everything that you're working up towards is towards your residency resume. Whether it be electives, whether it be research, whether it be your clinical skills, any group projects, that's what it comes into. Do as many as you can, when you can, during your medical school years. Now let's talk about how can I apply for electives? It's simple thing. The process is different for every country, okay? So the thing is that since I was a US citizen, and as an IMG, I had to go through different websites, okay? Most common websites that I found helpful were medclerkships.com. I found that, electives.us was very helpful, but the most common that I used was AAMC website, which they call for Association of American Medical Colleges. And they have a program called VSLO, for Visiting Student Learning Opportunities. You go there, you register on their website, and they will give you a list of either you want to do a research application or a clinical elective. They will give you a list of those electives that are nearby, in which state you want to do it, in which city you want to do it, and the speciality of that field that you want to do it. Maybe there's an orthopedic elective that is opened up. Maybe there's a certain research project that is related to surgery that is opened up. It will list that, and I found it very helpful. The other thing that you need to worry about is what things that I need to turn in. That's the most common question. The first thing that gives you a bonus is that if you've taken your step 1 score, that is an extreme bonus right there. Some electives will ask you for a step 1 score, but some won't. Okay, if you haven't taken your step 1 score, it's okay. It's not an issue, Other thing they ask for you is that if you're if you're not an IMG, you're more of a foreign medical graduate, then you're residing in this foreign country, then the thing they ask for you, if you're applying for US, Canada, or England, they'll ask you for a TOEFL score. That is an English proficiency exam, and it's a basic common thing. It's an English exam, and then you take it, you turn in your application with it. The other thing is that make sure you're making up your curriculum vitae, Start making up the things you have done. There are a lot of websites that you can do to properly format your resume. Because even in a work-life format, whether you're a medical student or not, whether you're getting into the medical field or any other field, then curriculum vitae and resume is important when you turn in for a job application. The next thing that I want to talk about is that after you've done all these things, some might ask you for a basic life support training, you might have to do a couple of hours. They might give you a certification. Dean's letter is very important. In the Dean's letter, you need permission from your university, your medical school hospital, so that your university hospital knows where you're coming from and that you have been given this much time off for them to attend the electives. Some medical universities don't give you enough time off. You have to apply for that application. That's why this is important. The other thing that you need to know is that there may be a letter of intent. Letter of intent is that you only turn it into the university medical college, in which you have to state that why are you applying for this field? Why are you interested in it? It's just a simple paragraph format. And if you go to VSLO, the website I told you about, they have the proper formatting, and they will tell you in description of what you need to get into. The other thing that they might need to ask you to turn in is an immunization. You know, some hospitals require it, but some don't, especially during this COVID time. They might ask you to turn in, you know, like, have you been vaccinated lately? Have you done your COVID test if you're going for an elective during this year or during the previous year? The next thing is that application fee and tuition fee. They do ask for it. Some applications, they don't have a fee. Some don't have a tuition fee. Some might even ask you for no application fee, but you might need to give a tuition fee for that. You know, it is different for every university hospital that you do apply for. So basically, the other things that you do need to look out for is that housing capabilities. You know, if I'm traveling from Pakistan to the United States, I need to look at, do I have like enough money? You need to look at your own housing and capabilities. Sometimes the university, because you need to talk to the university hospital before you're applying, they might give you a housing to stay nearby. It might be expensive. So that's why you look for nearby apartments, you know. You look for nearby places where you can stay in the meantime of during those 4 weeks. You don't have to go on their campus and then, you know, stay in their housing capabilities, but do talk to them about housing, food, you know, the basic capabilities that we have as a human being. The next thing that you do need to apply for is that if you are a foreign medical graduate, they might be looking for a visa application. You know, have you applied for a visa recently? Are you a citizen of that country? These are important that, you know, sometimes when you do apply for the university hospital, when you're talking to them, they might give you a form to submit, and then during that form, they might approve it. On that approval, that might go to the embassy and then come back to you. Sometimes it doesn't get accepted, you know, that's okay. Try for a different country, try for another elective. Don't give up on that. Remember, you have as much time as you need to do these electives during your medical school years. Now this concludes our application steps. The other thing I want you to know is that when you're doing clinical electives, and when you're applying for residency, there's a big difference. You want to do those it's okay to do those clinical electives in your home country as well. But when you're going out of country, and let's say you're applying for US residency or England residency, it's better to do those electives over there, because those hospital universities are looking for a setting on which the student has been given enough exposure in their own country for them to be able to apply over here. The other tip I want to give is that make sure you have your publications down in research. Okay, publications with your name on it is important, because they're not going to look for a research paper that has someone else's name. They want proof that you were actually involved in that research. This concludes our video. That's all the time we have for today. Don't forget to like, share, and comment down below. If you have any more questions, there will be a Q&A session later on. Don't forget also that please follow and subscribe to our YouTube page, our Instagram page, and our Facebook page. This is Dr. Hamza Farooq. You're in good hands. We'll see you next time on Excemy Residency Series. Cue the music.